Interesting facts about former U.S. presidents. George Washington, 1789 to 1797. Contrary to popular belief, George Washington didn't have wooden dentures, hippopotamus ivory, bone, human and animal teeth. Lead, brass screws, and gold wire were used to make them. Where did the wood theory originate, then? John Adams, 1797 to 1801. Before they started hating one another to death, John Adams and Thomas Jefferson went to Shakespeare's house in Stratford-upon-Avon. They took a memento piece of one of Shakespeare's chairs with them. Years later, Adams and his vice president Jefferson were locked in a political conflict. Adams referred to Jefferson as a mean-spirited, low-lived fellow, the son of a half-breed Indian squaw, sired by a Virginia mulatto father. And in a campaign ad, he warned of the repercussions of his election. Murder, robbery, rape, adultery, and incest will be openly taught and practiced. The air will be rent with the cries of the distressed. The end. Here we were thinking the 2016 election season was out of hand. As fate would have it, on July 4, 1826, the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, both Adams and Jefferson passed away. This information is untrue. Thomas Jefferson, 1801 to 1817. Jefferson not only vandalized Shakespeare's chair, but he also created the swivel chair from one of the most well-known politicians in American history, something you wouldn't anticipate. Jefferson only delivered 2 speeches during his presidency, one for each term, since he detested public speaking so much. He also established a custom of sending written State of the Union addresses to Congress, where a clerk would read them. Woodrow Wilson reinstated the practice of delivering the speech in person in 1913. James Madison, 1809 to 1817. Our shortest president was 5 feet 4 inches tall and was approximately 100 pounds. James Monroe, 1817 to 1825. Monroe was known as the last cocked hat because of his preference for outmoded Revolutionary War-era clothing. John Quincy Adams, 1825 to 1829. John Quincy Adams, the son of our second president, who detested Thomas Jefferson, was well known for going naked diving in the Potomac River every morning. Taking advantage of this knowledge, a reporter sat on his clothing until he agreed to an interview. Andrew Jackson, 1829 to 1837. Jackson allegedly taught his pet parrot how to curse, according to a persistent story, up until the parrot supposedly had to be removed from Jackson's funeral because it wouldn't stop swearing. Everything was amusing. Martin Van Buren, 1837 to 1841. The distinction of becoming the country's first president born in the United States belongs to Van Buren. He is the only American president who spoke English as a second language. Due to his political savviness, he was known by many monikers, including Sly Fox, Little Magician, and Red Fox of Kinderhook, because he was from Kinderhook, upstate New York, and had reddish hair. William Henry Harrison, 1840. The opposition attempted to portray him throughout his campaign as someone who preferred to sit in his log hut, drinking strong cider. Harrison responded to the criticism by making spiked lemonade and dispensing whiskey from bottles resembling log houses. On a chilly and rainy day in 1841, Harrison delivered the speech with the most words, about 8,445 in over 90 minutes. Soon after, he became ill and passed away 33 days into his presidency. John Tyler, 1841 to 1845. There was contention regarding Tyler's authority following Harrison's sudden death, as Tyler was the surviving vice president. The 25th Amendment, which made the line of succession official, was made possible because he was able to persuade everyone that he should just become president. Almost everyone despised him. During his presidency, he was ousted from his own party. All but one member of his cabinet resigned over his policies, and he became the first president to face impeachment. In his own obituary, the New York Times referred to him as the most hated public man that had ever held any office in the United States, and one newspaper editor labeled him the most hated public man that had ever held any office in the United States. James K. Polk, 1845 to 1849. Every party has a pooper, and Polk was that pooper. He outlawed drinking, playing cards, and dancing inside the White House. Zachary Taylor, 1849 to 1850. Taylor ate a bunch of cherries and drank ice milk while celebrating the 4th of July on the grounds where the Washington Monument would later stand. He passed away a few days later as a result of bacteria in the milk or cherries. Millard Fillmore, 1850 to 1853. Fillmore married his teacher. The majority of historians don't really have anything else to say about him aside from that. His description on the White House website is an uninspiring individual. Franklin Pierce, 1853 to 1857. Pierce, a president who is now mostly forgotten, was not well liked while in office, which prevented his own party from nominating him for re-election. "There is nothing left to do but get drunk," he said in response to being kicked out. His love for alcohol may be the reason behind his reported arrest for trampled an elderly woman with his horse. James Buchanan, 1857 to 1861. Despite the possibility that he wasn't actually single, Buchanan has the distinction of being the only bachelor to serve as president. His sexual orientation and his close friendship with Senator William Rufus King of Alabama sparked a lot of rumors. Despite being wealthy enough to afford their own homes, the two shared a residence for more than 10 years. Behind their backs, Andrew Jackson referred to them as Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. "I am now solitary and alone, having no companion in the house with me," Buchanan wrote when King left for France in 1844. "I'd ride to court a few gentlemen, but I was unsuccessful with all of them." Abraham Lincoln, 1861 to 1865. Lincoln is a tall drink of water, and as a bartender he provides tall cocktails. He was an excellent wrestler as well. He competed in almost 300 matches, winning all but one. Lincoln was a licensed bartender. His mother died from drinking poisoned milk. He didn't have a middle name. Andrew Johnson, 1865 to 1869. Johnson, the first president to be impeached, also had a difficult childhood. His mother hired him and his brother as indentured laborers to a tailor when his father passed away. 2 years later, Johnson and his brother took off running. The tailor offered a $10 prize for their capture, but they evaded capture. He constructed each of his clothes while serving as president, employing the skills he acquired working with the tailor. Ulysses S. Grant, 1869 to 1877. One interesting facts about Grant include the fact that, despite having served in the Civil War, he couldn't take the sight of blood. Moreover, he destroyed the Ku Klux Klan throughout his presidency. They unfortunately regrouped decades later. Rutherford B. Hayes, 1877 to 1881. The winner of one of the most contentious elections in history. He was down by 250,000 votes in the popular vote, but triumphed by one electoral vote, garnering him the moniker Rutherford, and his fraudulency was also known as Granny Hayes because he abstained from gambling, drinking, and smoking. James Garfield, 1881. Garfield was ambidextrous and could write in Greek with one hand and in Latin with the other at the same time. He was shot a few months into his presidency by an assassin and died 11 weeks later. Doctors tried using a newly invented metal detector by Andrew Graham Bell to locate the bullet, but the metal bed springs kept messing up the results, leading the doctors to cut in the wrong places. On top of this, the doctors also introduced bacteria into Garfield's body with their unsterilized, prying fingers. Chester Arthur, 1881 to 1885. Arthur planned to totally remodel the White House, but he needed money to buy all the new furniture. His response was to auction off 24 wagon loads of historical artifacts, including a hat and a pair of pants once worn by John Quincy Adams. His extravagant wardrobe, which included 80 different pairs of pants, was another indulgence he indulged in, garnering him the moniker Elegant Arthur. Grover Cleveland, 1885 to 1889. Cleveland took on the role of legal guardian for his friend's 11-year-old orphan daughter following the passing of his law partner. At the age of 21, she became the youngest First Lady in history when they were married at the White House 10 years later. He was dubbed the Woody Allen of the 19th century. Benjamin Harrison, 1889 to 1893. He was known as the human iceberg by some because of how stiff he was around people, and was the grandson of President William Henry Harrison. Though sometimes individuals mistake stiffness for anxiety, he was the first president to have electricity in the White House. And because of his fear of getting electrocuted, he was known to go to bed with all the lights on and to refuse to touch the light switches. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we will have Grover Cleveland's second term up to Donald Trump. See you on the next videos.